about it tonight. I want you guys to give a warm welcome for our first guest.
Philly, brotherly love and sisterly affection. Make him feel real warm. He goes by the name of Mr. PauL Porter.
Y'all give it up, please.
Come on up, PauL. Ah, man.
Want to make sure my book is not bootleg.
Ah, yeah, exactly. Make sure they don't bootleg your book.
You know
how we do.
This is Philly. You know how they do. They'll have something for you outside when you get out there. They'll be like, I got the books. That's how they was at the Shaka Khan show. The T-shirts was $40 inside. Once we got outside, they was
$10.
It was 10.
Philly will sell you your own stuff. It has happened to us before. We've gone to a show and said, in fact, one time I was actually offended. I walked up on a guy. He had the ultimate neo soul playlist, and I said, bruh, somebody's missing off of this. I thought he didn't recognize me. He was like, I don't bootleg your music, baby. Yeah, right. Anyway.
Here, let me hold the book.
But this
is the book, Blackout. My 40 years in the music business. See, I said 30 years. 40 years in the music business.
40.
PauL Porter.
And Blackout, don't get it confused. It's not a race thing. Blackout,
no, we understand what it is.
Blackout is a temporary loss of consciousness. That's what the title Blackout means, because we've lost it. We've lost it when it comes to messages. We went from lyricists to the lyrically challenged. And it's not that here with the music that you guys do. It's the music that, you know, the little ones, generations are growing up on garbage. And I try to talk about why it happens, and it's money, of course.
Yeah. Well, without spoiling the book, because we don't want to give too much away, because, of course, we want people to purchase the book, give us a general overview of what the book is all about.
Well, it's funny, man. One of my buddies is here. His dad was married to Nina Simone.
Wow.
My man Rennie Stroud is here. Rennie, all right. But back in my neighborhood, a couple of guys, his father was in the music business. A guy, Bill Staten, was in the music business. James Brown lived up the street. So music just got into my soul early. And, you know, it was from Mom's records. But this book is the story of black music and black culture. And it's the real side. It's not the, you know, the big money side. It's why it happens, why folks get on the radio. You know, I tell stories. I was programming BET. And the first weekend I came back to BET, you know, I used to do voices and.
You used to do voiceovers on BET. You would hear them in between the videos and different things like that. That was Paul's voice.
And Video Vibes, Midnight Love, all these different shows. But I came back to program. And the first weekend I was in the Hotel George, right in Union Station.
We know all about that hotel.
I got a FedEx.
Oh, yeah.
And the FedEx had 30 grand in $100 bills. And it was welcome to programming. And, you know, it's hard to turn down cash like that, but it happens like that 24/7 still to this day.
Payola is what they call it.
Yeah, pay for play.
Pay for play. And unfortunately, this is something that is rampant in the music business, and it is a part of the music business that no one can deny, but it is illegal.
Yeah, no, well, it's legal if you tell folks you're taking money. Like radio stations, radio stations will tell you when they're doing a promotion, you know, like this trip is paid for Universal Records.
Right.
They don't tell you that the, you know, 140 times that you hear it in 7 days is because somebody got stroked with cash. And it's real, but nobody wants to deal with it. I go all over the country. And luckily, I bought my own radio station.
Yes, you did.
In Orlando, Florida. And we don't, it's called The Wire 98.5. And the real blessing, it was something that President Obama restarted again. It's called Low Power FMs. So and we play hip hop and R&B because, you know,
that's our music.
Yeah. So, but the beauty is my station's been rated the last 4 rating book, first time ever that a small, low-power station in the top 40 market, and we're not playing all the garbage. Instead of some of the hip-hop we play Rhapsody. We still play the Drakes, but we don't play those records that are this hurtful, man. There's a lot of lyrics that have been going over everybody's heads, and y'all got to wake up, man. Y'all got to really wake up and find out what's going on, because we need some action. A lot of kids are being blindsided, man. They don't get to hear Kindred and anyway, don't get me started.
As far as the radio business goes and media in general, how important do you think it is for us to have gatekeepers or people who are involved in programming who understand music? Do you think it's a place that really needs to be, I mean, typically speaking, you know, you have people who are musicians or people who are collectors who used to be these kinds of folks.
Look, I work for Bob Johnson and Kathy Hughes, Frankie Crocker, and this being black doesn't cut it. You know, because a lot of times people change. When Kathy Hughes started in D.C., she was about information and power, and it turned into straight money. You know, and I hate to say it, it's going to take more than gatekeepers. It's going to take people that have hearts and souls that care about the audience that they broadcast to.
Is that possible in media? I mean, in mainstream media, being about, I mean, it's about advertising, it's about money. Is it possible to even have that? Those two things even go together? I actually read somewhere said that we can't expect, we can't expect capitalism to ever have a soul. So at the end of the day, is that even possible?
It is. Look, my station in Orlando is in Pine Hills, Florida. They call Pine Hills Pine Kills. Within the first 30 days of the radio station, we had 13 homicides in the first 13 days in the 3-mile radius. That's why I wanted that station, because it was in the worst part of Orlando, and I knew nobody was going to go for the license. We got the station, and we're winning. We're beating iHeart. Anyway, it can be done, and I'm not going to sell out. And it's easy to sell out. I get it. You know, my other nickname is DJ Broke His Shit. You know?
I identify with that, brother. I identify.
Edit. But sometimes it's not easy. But if you got a soul, it can work. It can work. You can do the right thing.
You mentioned a lot of names in this book. You just mentioned a few names, you know, and it's definitely character damaging for some people in a sense by you putting this kind of information out there. Have you really wrestled with, you know, exposing this in this way? What gave you the courage to say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and let it out?
But I put my bad stories in there too, you know, so I told my truth. There was a time I snorted Peru, you know. I was doing the same thing everybody else was, taking the money, running the streets, getting high, but I told that story. So nobody can tell me what's in this book is not truth, and it is. And people are scared to tell the truth, but I kept blaming young black boys that I thought were crazy, but I understood, you know, when I was in New York working at Hot 97, the record that changed and gave me my epiphany was a Raw Digger record, and the chorus was "Gotta beat that bitch with the bat." And when a 12-year-old girl came up to me with a note and said, "Mr. Paul, can you get the record off the radio?" And I said, "Why, Latia?" She said, "My daddy beat up my mama with a bat. She's in Roosevelt Hospital." It was like cha-ching. And I don't mean money, but I mean brain. Like,
idea went off in your head more or less.
And she said, "Could you get that record off the radio?" Well, I got the record off the radio, and 2 weeks later, they got me off the radio. And that was, you know, ever since then, I've been doing my thing, trying to, you know, wake up some minds.
Pulling off got you pulled off. I see. So do you think that there's a certain amount of wisdom that comes with age and grace that, again, gives you that, I have to let this out? You know, just like the Quincy Jones interview that he just did just recently, and, you know, he was dropping a lot of bombs and doing a lot of things,
like,
and then he ended up having to come back and apologize, because though you said that you expressing your own truth in the book, you are wrestling feathers with different individuals who may not want that truth told about them.
Yeah,
because you allow, you put them into the story as well.
Let me get this right, too, man. I've been doing this for 15 years.
Right.
This same story. I had a 6-digit book deal with HarperCollins. Mm-hmm. It was called The Same Songs, PauL, in the music industry. They killed that book because I told Clive Davis stories, I told so-and-so stories, and they gave me $100,000 to keep the book. And it took me 7 years to put the book out by myself. So sometimes it happens like that. So this is nothing new for me. I realized this a long time ago, that we're killing some young minds, and we're not the musical black culture that we used to be. We're letting somebody else predict our culture.
Wow.
Yeah,
y'all can clap it up for that.
In terms of,
don't be afraid, we don't have the cameras on you, so just in case you're clapping,
as far
they won't know.
I'd like to build a little bit on what you talked about us predicting, our own culture. How right now we have lots of outlets that that either appear to be black run or are involving black people, or there are outlets, but yet so much of our music still doesn't get heard. We have streaming, we have so many ways for people to get music, but yet still people struggle to be heard, struggle to get their music out there, struggle to do things. Without radio anymore as an option for those artists and those people who no longer have access to that kind of money, what do you feel is the best way for them to get the kind of music that you want to see set the tone for our culture out there?
Well, it's funny now, streaming, the Spotifys and Pandoras, record labels on those lists. I mean, wherever popularity is, money, corporate, it goes with it. So it's real difficult. I just tell artists now, and a lot of artists I deal with, you just got to be more strategic. Just don't think about the country. Look, I got my young cousin, his name's Chris Porter. We got the #1 record in Dubai, you remind me. So guess what? We're going to Dubai doing 3 shows for $25,000 a piece. So sometimes...
Does he need an opening act?
I'm
just asking for a friend.
Yeah,
just asking for some friends.
Have songs will travel.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
My God.
But yeah,
I like that.
I just think you got to be
We'll talk about Chris
creative.
Porter later.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. But my idea is, why are we giving it up? Why are we not going to these local radio stations demanding that you're on the radio here?
So do you allow artists to come and demand to be on your local radio station?
Yeah.
Because I know that if you're in a place like Pine Hills, there are lots of rappers and lots of musicians and singers and songwriters who want to be on the radio.
Yeah, but my point is, guys like you should be right here in Philly 24/7. But it's up to y'all.
We are here 24/7. We just be at the crib.
Yeah, no, but no,
you might not be on the radio 24/7, but we're listening to it.
Yeah, but no joke. Seriously, you guys have the power, man, to make good music happen, but we get lazy. We desensitize. We find other ways. But these stations are licensed to serve the community, and they don't. And that's because we let them slide.
Well, what do you want the reader who purchases the book Blackout to walk away with, and what actions do you want them to take after reading such a powerful book?
Well, I think it's a bridge for a lot of folks. It gives them a better understanding to know that their stars are not stars. Their stars are created. Okay? And look, there's a song on Post Malone with 21 Savage, and that Rockstar song. And it was the #1 song when it came out, and there's some line about a condom and drinking. And I was like, this is painful. But it happens because Universal Music says it's going to happen. And they're going to make sure it gets 6 million streams on day one. And we can't be fooled by it. So this book, if you read, and if you don't read, I'm lucky enough, C-SPAN gave me 90 minutes on TV for non-readers. There's a blackout special. Let's Google Paul Porter blackout. And I talk about it for 90 minutes. Wonderful. But I think we should read. And if you do, go to blackoutthebook.com, not Amazon, because they rip you off like, anyway, but it's on Amazon.
Paul, do you have any friends? Is anybody good, Paul?
Yeah. Oh, you good? I got bad love for you.
Thank God.
Hey, I woke up.
Kendra made the cut. Hallelujah.
I woke up in Orlando this morning at 3:30.
Yes, sir.
I am here because of y'all.
Thank you very much for coming, brother. We're glad that you came to share this with the people. I want to ask this. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Why is it, baby, we married. This shit happens. Go ahead, baby.
I did want to ask you this one question. You deal with, you do some outreach with young people. And young people, it seems to me that the first thing they think of when they hear somebody criticize what it is they're doing or what their generation is producing is the word hater. How do you get around young people just kind of shutting you off because of just feeling like maybe you're aged out of their music? Maybe, you know, how do you get them to understand you're not just, you just don't get it, that it's not that you just don't get it, but that you understand something bigger than that?
Because you tell them how the process runs. Yo, when you fill folks' minds with power and energy and knowledge, there's no way they reject it. Like if you just hate on their music, of course, but if you turn them on to something better and tell them why it's not playing, then they come in. And
that comes the job of the parents,
by playing better. Yeah. And you know, I go to a lot of colleges. Last week I was in Boston, the weekend before New Orleans. And if you talk to them, and that's what this book allows you to do, talk to them, because they've already programmed us out. The adults listen to one thing, the younger folks listen to something else. So you got to come to their level and understand that, yo, there's some dope rhymes out here. Yeah. There's some lyricists that I love, but there's some straight garbage. Yo, the other week, 8 out of 10 of the top 10 songs in the country were white rappers, and nobody noticed it. No. G-Eazy, Little Pump, this, and all white. But when it comes to the hate about hip-hop, folks will think about black kids, not white, okay? So it's everybody's culture.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, the DJ used to be a very, very powerful force in the community in terms of who the DJ was, the kind of music that he played, the things that he talked about. A lot of times the DJ might have been from the specific community that he was speaking to. Why is the DJ so powerless today in the music and the radio game?
Because everybody wants control, because spins equal money. And there's still DJs. DJs, if you notice a lot of DJs, look at them closely. Their hands are shaped like cups, like little cups, because they want money in them.
Oh, no.
They're asking for money. Yo, I paid mix show DJs to get on the radio. I still know how to play the game, but when you're a mix show DJ working at, 7 to midnight on Saturday, and you want $200 to play a record 3 times, and I'm talking about right here in Philly, in D.C. and New York.
We don't know none of these people that he's talking
about. I spent $50,000 marketing a record, and you got to pay everybody, because everybody got cups for hands these days, and I dig it.
You just don't dig it no more.
I just don't want garbage. Just make better choices. Just make better choices. Just don't accept everything.
Yeah.
Every song's not the hottest. Just because DJ Khaled comes out and he's got, Top Off, and they're talking about my Maybach. It's not the hottest song out, but they're going to make it the hottest song out just because who's on it.
Yeah. Right. My kid was singing that at the table yesterday, so, hey, it works. It works.
Yeah, what's been the response of some of the people who you have mentioned in the books? You say you've been doing this for 15 years. You've been dropping different knowledge and gems and things about the industry leading up to the Blackout book. But, you know, with the Blackout book, as I said earlier, and you mentioned a couple of names again up here, do you have any lawsuits or any fair ones maybe that might be coming to you, you know, from this? Because, again, you know, people don't always take to this kind of information well. And to some degree, Paul, I got to be honest, it could be dangerous for you in some senses of the word, because people don't want this kind of information to be exposed to the public in an organized fashion.
You know, the beauty about the book, I've got a lot of fallback from it, but everybody knows it's the truth. So even though the haters, like my man is Fred Buggs. Bugsy worked in this market forever. Bugsy is mad because some of the stuff I said in it, and he's told my boy, but he said Paul was right. So, you know, and it's opened some doors. I got called by Empire. I'm going out to write for Empire for a week for the next season.
They like the dirty stories on Empire about the music truth.
And I think it's going to bring out more books, because the last music industry book that made sense was a book, Hitman, in the 90s. Yeah. And it was written from the outside. It wasn't written from the inside out. And I think people appreciate it. So, you know, and I can't be worried. Plus, I live in Florida. I'm like in Philly. I carry mine. All right?
You better, brother. You better keep that thing close.
Stop living an open carry state. What you want? What you want?
You know, but those haters don't read. That's the problem.
Right.
They don't read.
Right.
You know, I wrote about an Indian there. He's one of the brothers. I did not mention his name because he's like 6'9", 280. And the first day he met me, he had come out of jail after 8 years.
Right.
And I said, and he called me
up.
Your
battles.
Yeah. He called me up and he said, yo, Paul, you did a good job with that book. And I said, my man.
I think a lot of people are also trapped themselves, and they might find inspiration in seeing somebody wanting to come forward, much like we've seen in other movements and things of that nature. When one person becomes the whistleblower, it gives other people the inspiration to say, hey, you know what?
It's not a whistleblower.
Well, it is a whistleblower.
It's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Well, that's the difference.
You're blowing the truth. You're whistleblowing on the truth.
No, but whistleblower, I hate that term. But I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad, you know, to share the message.
Yeah.
We're glad that you're here as well to share the message, man. I wanted to ask this last question, too, like, because a lot of radio DJs get an opportunity to do voiceovers and things like that, and you carried it over and you started working at BET, like we mentioned earlier, and you did a lot of those big shows and things like that. And for people out there who might want to get into radio DJing and using their voice and their talent in other ways besides being in front of the camera, how do you actually get involved in the voiceover world?
You know, it's competitive, man. There was a guy, I played college basketball, and Adolph Caesar was his name. He was in Soldier Story. You know,
Caesar, absolutely.
And the little guy.
It was like the
CJ, you little EG nigga. Yeah. Anyway, so he told me, this is a long time ago, he said, Paul, take voice lessons. And I was like, man, I got a deep voice. I'm already
Put
good.
your Quiet Storm on him.
Yeah, and I did, and started going to New York. My first spot that I landed, it was AT&T. It's all within your reach. $125,000. But it's hard. For every 30 auditions you go to, you might get one. And people's egos aren't ready for that. But it's a great way to make money, and now it's changed. You can compete from home for gigs. So, you know, I always tell there's so many ways, but it's always, I get my energy from young people.
Right.
And finding out and sharing energy. And we got to do more work going back and grabbing folks. I judge success on what you can do for others. Yeah. It ain't how my Bentley or whatever else. Right. What you can do for somebody else, that's when you're a success.
PauL Porter,
Fantastic.
we really appreciate you coming to the program today. And we want to encourage everybody out there watching and everybody in the building who, I think you bought some books tonight, right?
Yes. Yep, I got
some
some
people,
books.
you will be able to purchase the book,
I'll sell them
Blackout
cheap.
by PauL Porter, and see everything that is in this book. I have read this book. It is a great book. It's a great read. And it's, you know, you can sit down for a day or two and pretty much get it read.
It's
so
an easy
I want to encourage,
read,
it's an
too.
easy read, as I was going to say. Yeah. You know, please get out there and support our brother PauL Porter with his book and his radio station down in Florida, giving opportunities and chances to young people in his community. We appreciate it. We respect you, and we thank you.
Thank you. Blackoutthebook.com. Thank you.
Blackoutthebook.com.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.